Hi everyone, good afternoon and welcome back to another interesting and power-packed episode of Tea Talks Tuesday, our award-winning show for this decade of 2010 to 2021. So we are here today with another interesting session. Lakshmi Tejasvi is here to give us a very nice insights about the sports nutrition. She's here. And before we go into the session, I would like to request Dr. Janaki ma'am to introduce Lakshmi Tejasvi. Over to you, Dr. Janaki.
Thank you, Mayuri. So, very good evening to each one of you, and welcome back to Tea Talks Tuesday once again. And today's topic is fluid and salt loading in sports performance by Lakshmi Tejasvi Mandala. She's a founder of Vibgyor Clinics in Hyderabad. She started this in 2015 October, and she's the main nutritionist there. And she is the creator and presenter for TV shows and YouTube channels. To say a few examples like Diet Menu or on ETV Abhiruchi, Arigyamastu and Jeevan Rekha, a child care on ETV Live, and Bhavani HD and Suman TV. So she's also consultant nutritionist at Sai Meda Clinics and Symmetrio. Symmetrio, is that?
Yes,
Symmetrio, online platform, and Kindle Clinics, Star Fit Fitness Technologies, and Gallon multi-specialty clinics. She has a previous experience of about how many years? Yeah, it is about 10 years, I think. 10
Yes.
years. 10 years. She worked as a nutritionist in Tweak and Eat, Purple Teal in the India. What is it? We want to know about it.
It's an app, Mum. Tweak and Eat is an app. So
Okay.
technologies. So basically, it was started in the US by Indians itself. A health platform they wanted to start, and they wanted to start something in India. So they started an app, which is basically like you just have to talk about what you're eating. You send pictures, and they'll give you a feedback about it. So like that.
Okay, so you have to tweak that.
Yes, you have to
and eat. Okay, fine, great. Clinical and sports nutritionist, Kua Nutrition, that is Signature Clinic from Bangalore. I think it's Dr. Rayans.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So senior research fellow in National Institute of Nutrition. That's wonderful. And bariatric dietitian in Live Life Hospitals. Now I remember. Yeah, we met there first.
Yes,
correct. Yeah. So she is rated as one of the top 15 nutritionists in Hyderabad, this part of the country, and she has the best dissertation thesis award in MSc Clinical Nutrition from Sri Ramchandra University, and sports nutrition certification, and precision nutrition coaching and certification, and introduction to transitional. Is it translate?
Nutrigenetics.
Translational, is it translational?
Yes.
Yeah, translational nutrigenetics certificate from Institute of Nutrigenetics, certification of autism awareness and nutrition, level 1 from Kiran. Once again, level 1 for what is this? Kiran, okay. Kinanthropometry, ISAK, New Zealand. Okay. So PG diploma in health education and from Dr. Reddy's laboratory. And she has RD from Sri Ramchandra University, that is a registered dietitian. And she completed her MSc from Sri Ramchandra University, Chennai in 2008. So I read from this, so it is really difficult for me to read out from this. So welcome to Tea Talks Tuesday, Lakshmi. So let's start off a very interesting topic for today. You can start now.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So today I'm going to talk about fluid and salt loading in sports nutrition or sports performance, especially. That is why fluids loading is important. Why do we need to take care of the salts? Also is very important. I'm going to discuss a little in detail about this. Okay, so what is sports nutrition? Sports nutrition is an amalgamation, that is a combination of nutrition with exercise physiology. That is what kind of activity sports that we do. It could be, some could be doing a recreational sport, or it could be for as a a pure sports athlete, like for competitions who are preparing for competitions. So it's a combination of both, which is extremely important. Otherwise, your exercise physiology is of no use if you do not follow a proper nutrition. So why do we need nutrition, especially for a sports person? So for a sports person, it is extremely different to a normal person, who's trying to follow nutrition for other categories like weight gain or weight loss or any kind of clinical conditions. For a sports nutrition, you have to understand that you need to stay hydrated. That is, your hydration levels are important, and you need to provide fuel, that is energy, all throughout the time. During your training sessions, during your performance of any event or competition, and for optimum recovery. That is, after you play the sport or an event or a competition, are you able to recover faster or no, and replenish all the lost nutrients and the fluids in the during what you played, the sport or the event or the competition. So what are the two types of sports we have? So we have two different types of sports. So there are different types of sports, but the types of sports here is aerobic and anaerobic. So, so our sports events are taking place in the body with the presence of oxygen and without the presence of oxygen. So this is very important to know, because based on this is how you have to, suggest your client, or we suggest a sports person, how much of carbohydrates he or she can take, how much of protein they can take, how much of fluid they can take, and how much of salts and other minerals they can take, because everything plays a very important role here. So aerobic, when it comes to aerobic, it is with the presence of oxygen, and it is of a much longer duration. So these are mostly the marathon runners, the triathlon, or high endurance sports. So anaerobic will be without oxygen, and they're more of shorter duration taking place. So they can perform the sport or event or training or even competition without the presence of oxygen, but they're high in intensity. These could be like weightlifters or bodybuilders. These kind of sports persons come under this category. So they do not require oxygen, and their energy is produced without the presence of oxygen. So why is this important in the presence of oxygen is, or without the presence of oxygen is, water plays a very key role for the presence of oxygen or the non-presence of oxygen here. So that is why we need to know what kind of a sport the person is going to play. So as we know, the basic, the basic nutrients that what we need are carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, and fluids over here. So fluids is something which does not give us energy, but is almost equal to how oxygen is equal to our body. So how oxygen is important to our body, even the fluid is that important for our body also. So you need to understand that you need to weigh that very importantly, and make sure that the person is well hydrated before playing an event, or during, or after. And in minerals, today we're going to speak about salts. That's our sodium chloride. That's mostly about our sodium and chloride. So when coming to fluids, the first thing that comes into our mind is water. So about, like, I would say about 60% of our body is made up of water. It has water, it contains water. So in which the brain, as you can see, every organ, every tissue, every organ in the body contains water and is made up of water. It is necessary for their functioning also. So when you see, brain is having about 75% of water. So here, water is extremely important. And what happens when there is no water is what we know afterwards. I will explain about that. And if you see, even blood contains water. So even blood is very important to maintain its osmolarity when there is enough water. So if there is no water, then that we are leading to dehydration, and it can create a lot of more complications also in the body. So as you can see that every like muscles also contain a lot of water, and they're up to 75%. So when actually you see over now, I'll say so here if you see, so if in this slide, if you see, so here muscles, the body is completely of muscles. So if it is a muscular body, the person has a lot of muscle, then there is high concentration of water in the muscles and in the body. If the person is having high fat content, that is a lot of fat cells, then there is low water capacity or storage in the body. So you need to understand that the person has to be having more muscles, especially for a sports person. He should be more muscular and have the normal levels of fat cells, and optimal levels should not have too low or too high of fat percentage also in the body. So when having too high percentage of fat cells, there is extremely low storage capacity of water in the body. So this can also lead to dehydration. So you need to understand that dehydration is not only because of drinking less water, but it is also depending on how much muscle you have, how much fat you have also. And so because muscle has a lot of capacity and high capacity of storing water, so a muscular body will have more water and storing capacity, and will have higher concentrations of water in the body. So next, coming to another concept, what we all forget is that why we need to drink water is not only to maintain our kidney health or muscles and things like that, but also to store our nutrients. Like for example, if you see here, carbohydrate, to store carbohydrate is stored in the form of glycogen. So to store this glycogen in our muscles, it needs 3 grams of water. So unless we have good amount of water with our food, or we are having enough water, we will not be able to store glucose or glycogen in our muscles. Also, if you see next, blood plasma. So in our blood plasma, so about 55% of blood contains plasma, and it has a lot of nutrients, hormones, immune cells, and also oxygen. So like previously I said, water is extremely important in aerobic capacity sports performance, because the blood plasma, when it is having water, it will carry the oxygen also to the body very easily. Otherwise, it will not be able to take the water easily. And also nutrients like the sodium, potassium, all these can be carried throughout the body easily through blood. So if there is no water, then the nutrients will not be delivered to the organs and to the muscles and to the cells of the body from the blood. So this can also lead to various other conditions of like hypokalemia or hyponatremia, these kind of things, or hypocalcemia also, like wherein you lose calcium, you lose potassium, you lose sodium also in the body. Yeah. So like I said, like 60% of our body is made of water, which is so in the cells, it is produced, it is stored like in the cells and outside the cells. So inside the cells is intracellular, and outside the cells is extracellular. So extracellular is about 1/3 of the 60% of body water is in the extracellular, that is in the lymph. nodes and in between the cells and in the blood plasma. So this will help in transporting it. This is a pathway of fuel to be transported to the cells. So the extracellular fluid, that is the water or the fluid, will help in the transportation of ATP or all the nutrients or the salts like sodium, chloride, these into the cells. So this is extremely important to know. Next, intracellular is inside the cells. So this allows molecules to be transported inside the organelles. That is, inside the cells, you have different organelles. So inside the cells, the molecules can be transported easily in presence of water also. So next is so we know what is hydration. Hydration means giving water to the body and other fluids to the body. So there are different types of fluids and water and plain water that we give. And when this is not given, and when this is given in excess or this is given very little, it causes two conditions. It can be dehydration or hypohydration, or it can be hyperhydration. Hyperhydration is also can be known as, in layman terms, like overhydration. So overhydration will lead to the salts being diluted in the body, like sodium being diluted. So this is also very dangerous, and that should not happen. So don't drink excess of water also. So because some people are used to drinking like 1 liter, 2 liters at a time, or they drink excess because they're going to play a sport or something, they'll start drinking at a time lot of water. So you should not do that. You should always sip water. Then it will give you a proper hydration levels rather than creating hyperhydration and diluting your salts also. So the next is dehydration. So what happens during your dehydration or hypohydration? So hypohydration and dehydration are almost similar, but hypohydration is something whereas it is like the end. So you cannot, it is extremely difficult, or you cannot reverse it. It is that kind of a condition where there is extremely low water or no water intake, and there is excess of water loss from the body or fluid loss from the body. So it's extremely dangerous for going in when you go into a hypohydration for a sports person. So we need to take care that this should not happen. So what happens when we are dehydrated? So what happens? So we all know when we are dehydrated, we feel thirsty, or you feel a little tired, but there is a lot more into it, like brain fogging, which means you're confused and you don't know what is happening. But why is this important for a sports person? This is important for a sports person because it's necessary for this person to concentrate during while playing a sport or in a competition. So when his brain is fogged completely, then he is not able to take any decisions. He's not able to take any decisions of how to play the sport, or how to like if it's a shot put, how he should throw, how his arm should move. That cannot happen. He's losing his concentration levels. Like in the earlier slide, I had said that 75% of our brain has water. So when you're dehydrated, obviously there is no water in your brain and you're fogging up. And the next is you get a lot of headaches. You get extreme headaches, and that can be, and for a sports person, you see it as soon as they wake up. As soon as they wake up, they see this kind of headaches very often, which means it's a clear sign of dehydration, and they should really take care of it. Next is muscle cramps. This is very, very important for a sports person because they see this a lot. Muscle cramps and heat cramps. Heat cramps is mostly in the calf muscles, or you get in the abdomen or the stomach. So these are like our muscles also store a lot of water. So if you're not having enough water, then you will definitely cramp, and a lot of people face it during the night time, muscle cramps in the calf muscles after they have played a sport. So this can be because they did not hydrate themselves after the sport. So something that you have to take care, that after you play a sport, also hydration is important. Next is maintaining a body pH. So water obviously will maintain the body pH, the acid-base balance. So you should remember that you're drinking enough water to keep your body in a neutral environment and not making it too acidic or too alkaline. So what happens in dehydration? So you can see that when you are losing 5% of your body weight, then you can see that at least 20 to 30% of your performance of sport is gone. So even during playing the sport, like even if you're a runner and you're running and you did not hydrate yourself properly, then definitely you see that you're losing at least 20 to 30% of your performance while running itself, and you will slow down, and you will slow down in your running. So it is extremely important to know how much you're hydrating yourself. And why are we calculating here as weight loss? Because this is one way how we see our hydration levels are in the body. That I'll come into it later. So when we see dehydration and performance, so there is diminished capacity to transport oxygen to and nutrients to the body cells and get rid of the excess heat. So we know water also regulates body temperature. So somebody who is, playing a sport in cold temperatures or in extreme hot weathers, then they need to know how much water they have to drink according to the temperatures. And a lot of people think when we are in cold temperatures, we need not drink excess water, but that is wrong. Actually, in cold temperatures also, we need to take care of our hydration levels, because those cold temperatures will not let the water to be absorbed by the cells properly. So you need to take care that what type of water you're drinking, and that water should be of room temperature, not very hot or very cold also. So also what we see is there is working muscles cause increased body temperature. So to maintain that body temperature in the muscles also, and muscles will not become rigid, water is important. So loss of fluid causes cells to shrink. Obviously, when we don't drink enough water, the cells will shrink automatically, and all the extracellular ions like the sodium and the chloride will pull all the water from the cells into the outer cell, outside the cells. So into the extracellular fluid to maintain the balance. So this will obviously, hamper in the energy production also in the cells. So that is very important, and automatically your performance will totally go down. So how is water lost from the body? So we learned that dehydration happens, but how is it happening? So there are different methods like sweating. Some people perspire also. Sweating and perspiration is different. Perspiration is just from the outside the skin cells. Also, there is a lot of water being lost. So that is different. So some people perspire a lot. So you need to take care if the person is having a high perspiration rate, and though he's not sweating much, then you need to take care that you're giving the proper amount of water for him and not giving just generalized water consumption. So, and next is urination. And even through urine, obviously we lose a lot of water from the body, and by defecation. While passing stools also we lose water. One thing what we miss to calculate is while breathing also, while especially for sports person, they breathe very hard, and they breathe in very hard, they breathe out also very hard. So they're like always panting and huffing and puffing. So that through that breath also they lose a lot of water. This is called like an invisible type of loss, because it is not a visible loss, it's an invisible loss. So you need to understand that it's not only sweating and urination, you see how much water is lost. Even if your breathing is too intense, you're breathing very hard, you're breathing out very hard, then you're losing excess of water. So you need to take care how your breath is also. So how do we know that our breath is fine and we're not breathing out too hard? Is drinking enough water, and enough oxygen is going to your lungs, and in your blood also there is enough oxygen. So that is why maintaining water levels, not only for your kidneys to function normally, even your blood to have normal levels is important. So how do you check your hydration status? So how do we know if you're drinking enough water is, how is your urine color? Is it pale or is it very dark, like dark brown or dark yellow, then you see the hydration level. Always check your hydration level. For a sports person, we have to fill their urine output in a cup and check it with the urine color chart. So is it light yellow, or dark yellow or brown or red? So severely dehydrated will be red, or if it is clear, you're very well hydrated. So make sure that you're always checking this for a sports person. Otherwise, you will not know his hydration status or her hydration status. Next is the output. How much of urine output is happening? If a person is not passing urine at least even for 3 or 4 hours in a day, then definitely that person is dehydrated. If the sports person is passing urine at least 1 to 2 hours, every 1 to 2 hours, then the person is well hydrated, which means he is providing enough water for his entire body and organs in the body. So approximately it will differ for a person. It may be 1.5 to 2.5 liters per day of water can be lost. So this can be different for everybody. So it's always good to check how many hours there is urination rather than checking on the overall day how much of liters of water, because that is difficult to calculate. Next, how do you know how the hydration status? Always check the body weight. So body weight is something very important, and with light clothes, with the lightest clothes, you have to check for the sports person. And after when the bladder is empty, so preferably after waking up and early in the morning, wearing light clothes, very lightweight clothes, and has passed urine for in the morning after waking up and not eaten anything, then you need to check his weight. And after he's completely prepared for the event or even for the training, let that be competition or let that be just training session for preparing for a competition. So that person has to know that he is or she is having enough water or no, is you check the weight after the competition is over or after the training session is over also. And this will give a complete clarity of if the person has lost like 500 grams, okay, then he has lost certain amount of fluid. And this is very important to know. Always keep a track of the weight before and after. So so one greater than 1% of body weight is lost, then it is equal to dehydration. So if the person is lost about 100 grams or 200 grams for his body weight, that is more than 1%, then you need to know that he's dehydrated and he's lost the hydration status and the water status he needs. So now that we spoke about why water is important or fluids are important, we need to understand what type of fluids we can give for a sports person. So we can give plain water, but plain water is also not important because while drinking plain water, it does not have any salts. If it is normal water that we get, unless it's a mineralized water, if it's the normal water that we get, then it does not have the salts like sodium chloride or potassium, these kind of minerals also. So while fluid loss from the body, you need to understand that sodium is also lost from the body. So you need to put that back into the body. So you can add that by giving any kind of isotonic solutions. You should give solutions that is equal to the blood osmolality and not very high or very low to the blood osmolality. So which means it is not hypotonic or it is not hypertonic. So hypotonic means you're giving like for 500 ml of water, you're adding 30 grams of carbohydrates in it, which means it makes it hypotonic. And hypertonic is adding 80 grams of carbohydrates in 500 ml of water, which is making it hypertonic. This can either shrink the cells, being a hypertonic solution, or being a hypotonic solution, it may dilute, being a hypertonic, it may dilute the blood cells, dilute the cells or the blood, and it can even shrink the cells, depending on what solutions you're giving. So it is always safe to give a isotonic solution that is for which is taken care before, during, and after the session also, or an event also. So remember that you are taking care of the kind of solutions that you give. Sometimes a lot of them take these sports gels and sports drinks. So they are sometimes not, if it is not by the right company or anything, and you don't know, you end up taking either a very hypotonic or a hypertonic solution. So especially these hypertonic solutions are the sports gels, which are very concentrated with carbohydrates. It's not necessary for everyone to take this type of a hypertonic or high carbohydrate solutions, because it might give an overload of carbohydrate also, so which is not necessary for us, and overload of sodium concentration also in it, which is not necessary for us. So the next is that we have to see is when we, what are the rules of hydration? So now that we know that why hydration is important, because it should not brain fog and it should give us proper concentration levels. It should not push us into a dehydration state where we are muscle cramping and we are not able to play the sport. We need to know what are the rules of hydration and how you should hydrate yourself. A sports person should hydrate him or her to, to not go into a dehydration or a hypohydration state. So which means you're not drinking very cold liquid temperatures, like like ice cold water or ice cold drinks or sports drinks. You're not drinking. It should be like normal room temperature or the temperature to the environment you are, so that it is easily absorbed and it quenches your thirst also faster. If it is extremely cold, then the water will not quench your thirst, or the fluid will not quench your thirst, and you will still feel like drinking more and more of solutions of fluids which are not necessary for you. So next, you have to drink. When should you drink is, you have to, after an event, you have to drink within 20 minutes after an event. So after training session, your daily training session, or you're drinking after a competition, you have to drink within 20 minutes. You have to start hydrating yourself. Otherwise, you're pushing yourself into dehydration state, which is not safe for you. So next is, you need to understand thirst mechanism, which means, are you drinking water when you feel thirsty or no? Are you drinking the fluid when the thirst has started or no? Next, you take in fluid. Fluid intake should continue after activity to replace the fluid lost during exercise. So while we are, training or we play the event or sport, we lost a lot of fluid. So immediately you're starting to drink the fluids. So next is, some people eat or drink a carbohydrate solution, so which is necessary sometimes, because if it is a longer duration sport, they would have lost the muscle glycogen. Like a muscle stores carbohydrate, they would have lost that while playing the event. So they have to have a carbohydrate solution, which is like you're having like a fruit juice or something, but you're not having too concentrated fruit juice, and you're diluting it a little, which is important, so that your body absorbs it better, and you're not giving a very hypertonic solution, and you're not loading your body with carbohydrate, which is not necessary. So next is, within 2 hours. Okay, so the next rules is, when you're before an event, before a training session, or before a sports competition, you have to start drinking at least 1 to 2 hours. So drinking 2 hours before is ideal, and then slowly keep sipping till you start playing, at least 20 minutes before you start playing your event, because that hydration level will, that hydration status will help you do during your event and the sport that you're playing, especially during the initial few minutes. Otherwise, you will end up dehydrated in the first 5 minutes of the sport event only. So remember that you're following this rule, and always sip your water every 10 to 15 minutes during your sport activity or during your event, and you're not drinking, at once you're not drinking like 1 liter or half a liter, and you're having like sips of fluid or water. So, and next you are adding some kind of a carbohydrate. If it is a long activity, then you're adding some kind of a carbohydrate to the fluid or to the water, like you're having a fruit juice every, if it is a more than a 1 hour long session, and make sure that it is an isotonic solution and it is not a hypertonic or a hypotonic. And how often should you drink is every hour. Drinking at least 500 ml will be enough, but it can vary from a person to person. If it is a small, or like a kid, or if it's an adult, it may differ. So that is something you need to take care of. So now moving on to the salts. So moving on to the salts, we see that most important salt is the sodium. So the sodium is the most important because it is present outside the cells, okay, and it maintains an equilibrium in the cells and outside the cells. So it affects sodium. It's helping in, if your sodium levels are normal, you're preventing dehydration. And if your sodium levels are very low, then you go into a dehydration status also, and it will affect your performance. So what does sodium do exactly is it can withdraw the fluid into the intravascular space, that is into the blood plasma. So it is present outside the cells. So it can obviously take off all the fluid from the cells and outside. So this also is very dangerous when it comes to a sports person. Sodium actually works little differently for a sports person because it has a very bigger role in a sports person. So understanding how much salt you take and you don't take excess of salt is also important, and you're taking the right amount of salt. And somebody who has other medical conditions like hypertension or any kind of kidney issues and is still a sports player, like a football player or a cricketer or any kind of tennis player, should take necessary precautions of how much sodium or salt he is taking. So other than sodium, we need to concentrate on the chloride levels also. So basically the sodium and chloride, which means will give you the salt. So here the chloride is also working hand in hand along with the sodium, and chloride is extremely important for sending the nerve impulses in the neurons throughout the body. So, and chloride also involves in balancing the fluid within the body. So very important that you're taking the right amount of salt and you're not overloading yourself with excess salt. So what does low sodium or hyponatremia causes? It might lead to coma or unconsciousness, or it can cause excessive nausea and vomiting, or it can also lead to lethargy, that is feeling lazy, and tendon reflexes, that is decreased reflexes, and limping muscles, which means there is muscle weakness, and muscle cramps also can occur. And more of sodium loss will cause a lot of heat cramps. So heat cramps is also not good. And it may also create a lot of headaches or seizures, and stomach cramping or stomach heat cramps also. So sodium loss can occur in different concentrations. It can occur like 800 to 8,500 milligrams per hour, depending on the type of sport you're playing and depending on the intensity of the sport and how long you are playing. So you need to take care that you're not underdoing your salt levels or overdoing your salt levels. So what happens when the chloride also is low? So it also causes abnormal heart arrhythmia and decreased blood flow to the brain and frequent vomiting. So if you find these symptoms more, then you can obviously know that your salts are low and you're not taking enough salts in your diet also. So this can occur by excess dehydration also. If you're excessively dehydrated, also can lead to sodium chloride levels being very low in the body, which can cause again frequent vomitings, and it can also increase heart rate. So high dehydration levels also may increase the heart rates in some people. So that also you need to take care while you're hydrating yourself with a salt solution and how much salt you're adding in it. So how much do we need? So basically, when we say, when we are giving somebody a sports drink or water, how much are we adding in it? So salt, like if you're adding like a pinch of salt, it may be like about 0.3, grams of sodium salt that you're adding into the water. So generally we say about, you take a teaspoon, it is more than enough for a normal person. But if you're giving more than it is, then you have to be a sports person. But for a sports person, it is a little different how much sodium you're giving. So you consume about 450 to 700 ml of fluid, preferably water or a sports drink that contains sodium and other electrolytes. So when you choose a sports drink, it should have 150 mg of sodium for 700 ml. That is, if it is a high intensity like a marathon runner, otherwise you require extremely less than that also. Then 250, so 30 minutes, this is 2 to 3 hours prior your training. So don't take it just before your training. That will be of no use, and you will you'll be putting yourself at a risk where you're loading yourself with excess sodium and excess fluid just before the event, and that will not allow you in performing also, because you will be having a heavy feeling and you cannot perform properly. So next 30 minutes before your training, you can drink about 250 ml of water, or about 20 minutes also is fine. And after training, how do you replenish your fluid and your salt is, you're making sure that you start with at least like 400 ml, and depends on how much weight you have lost also. You have to check your weight. If you have lost like 2 kilos or 1 kilo, then you consume about 500 ml or 450 ml for that every lost kilo. So don't overload yourself also after you finish your training session. And remember, it has to be done 20 minutes after your training session. Within 20 minutes, you have to start loading yourself with water and with your salts also. So this is what is about fluid and salt intake in sports performance. I hope I was able to deliver everything and clarify, if you had any doubts. So I'm open for questions.
Can you go to the previous slide, Lakshmi?
Sure.
Start with at least 500 milligrams of sodium per hour of exercise.
Yes.
I didn't get that.
Okay, so so here, ma'am, when we are training, so especially when when a person is training for a sport event, he has to check how much his weight was, and how long he's training himself for that event, and if he's playing badminton or tennis, and how much of sodium you're adding into his water or his any kind of a juice or something that he's taking. So
okay,
he's not adding like some people just add, like they should require the salts, they add 1 to 2 teaspoons of salt in water, or they add like about 1 to 2 teaspoons in some fruit juices and they take it, but that is wrong. They need to add like really less. So that they need to understand, just quarter teaspoon or maximum half a teaspoon is enough for that of sodium for that 1 hour of exercise or training they're taking for that sport.
Okay.
And Lakshmi, you was mentioning about the pre and post weight, like before, I mean the weight we need to take it in the morning, and then if the activity or the training is in the evening, generally the kids, I'm just considering the kids these days who are going for the sports like badminton or football or whatever it is. So when they come back, then they have to check the weight, or you are just saying like before the event, before the training and after the training? How do we do that?
So ma'am, if it is a competition,
Or just in general daily training, can you explain about?
In general training, then they have to check in the morning itself, and throughout the day they need to keep a track of how much water they're drinking.
Okay.
before their training, before they go for their practice session, and after how much they drank, and during the practice session, how much they drank. They need to keep a note of how much they drank. And after that, after coming back, they check their water level, their weight, and then they see how much of a difference is there of water loss, or how much of weight loss is there. Then they can know if they have lost water or no.
Okay.
And generally for kids during training sessions, if they are just 1 hour of training session, they do not lose much.
Right.
Because they would have well hydrated themselves before the session and throughout the day also. So they won't lose much. And they can, obviously there won't be much of, there'll be just few grams of, weight difference. So they are at a safer side. They won't go into high dehydration levels.
Okay. And these days, like, trainings like, football or, the cricket, kids are more interested towards this kind of activities also, right? Which is like slightly more than an hour also.
Yes.
So it's the same principle, right?
Same principle, ma'am. Same principle has to be followed.
Okay.
For kids, we have to follow them.
Okay. You were mentioning about the hypotonic and hypertonic solutions, and in for general audience, if you can suggest what kind of drinks that they can give for the kids or sports people.
Yes, ma'am. So for a sports person, a lot of them choose these ones which are store bought, like these Gatorade, or which
Yes.
are actually not very well balanced, because they have high amount of sugar, which is not necessary for them. So you can obviously make some solutions at home, like having orange juice diluted in normal water and adding like a pinch of salt or just a quarter teaspoon of salt in it, in like 1 liter of water, with like just 100 to 200 ml of orange juice. And then they can take coconut water, that is like a proper natural electrolyte. That's the best natural electrolyte. So they can drink that. At least they can drink 350 ml in the complete 1 hour of their training session of coconut water, and it will completely do justice for their entire training session. Something they can make at home, which is equal to a solution, which is good like Gatorade, is just our sugar and salt. So adding like a quarter teaspoon of salt in like 1,000 ml of water, that is 1 liter, to at least like 2 to 3 teaspoons of sugar is good enough.
Okay.
So this also will differ the amount of sugar depending on the age and the intensity of workout, the sport they're doing and they're playing.
Okay.
These 3 solutions are the best.
Great. So we have a question on Facebook, slightly not related with this, but
can stop
screen share. Okay, Samatha is asking, ma'am, is it advisable to have large amounts of water on empty stomach in the morning? Not in relation to a sports person, but in general, she's asking.
So in general, also, it is not advisable to have 1 liter of water at one go, because again, you're diluting your salts in the body. It's always good to have like 200 to 250 ml of water at one time, and have it and keep sipping water every few minutes, like 15 minutes or 20 minutes throughout the day. And it is very ideal, because you do not want to go off into a completely hypotension state where your blood pressure is also going very low, because you're overloading yourself and overhydrating yourself also with water.
Okay, great. And Hiranya is asking, what is the procedure for ISAK certification? If you can help her know about this.
Yeah, so you can contact, so there is this person called Anirudh. So he comes in, so he keeps traveling around the world and he gives the certification. So you can always email them. Probably if she can message me directly on Facebook, then I can direct her how to.
Great. So Hiranya, you can just reach out to Lakshmi. She's available on Facebook, Lakshmi Tejaswi. Her page is like Vibgyor Gan, Vibgyor Nutri. So you can just reach her over there. She can help you in a better way. Yes, doctor. Any other questions?
It's a very excellent presentation, very clear.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very crystal clear, actually. as clear as salts and minerals. So I was just thinking about these recent happenings, people working out a lot in the gym and then next day they are no more. So any relation to their hydration at all? Can we think about it?
Yes, definitely we can think about it because, like I said, dehydration could also lead to, as heart arrhythmia, and heart rate can go very high. So this also, because when they are into excessive workouts and excessive exercises, they actually forget this concept of taking breaks and drinking water or drinking the solution that they have to drink of electrolytes also. Which most of them actually miss out, and so that can also lead to heart failures. So that is something, and increase, and the pulse rate also may vary a lot. So that is something they have to really take care. So dehydration levels also can cause such situations.
Okay.
Okay.
So you said to drink water just 20 minutes before workout. Workout in the sense sports activity. Suppose if someone is gymming or doing weights, they also do sweat a lot, lifting weights and all. How do you suggest to drink some solution 2 hours prior to going to gym, or the same formula holds, or anything else? Or should we suggest some sips of salt and
Sure.
potassium, so liquids like lemon and salt water during the workout, like during breaks?
Yes.
They can take some breaks and take sips of these salt and lemon water.
Yeah. So what they can do here is, for somebody who's just going to the gym, who's just working out for fitness levels, they can, so they need not concentrate on every 1 hour they have to hydrate, or every 2 hours they have to hydrate, but they should hydrate at least 30 minutes before they go to the gym. And not necessary that they have to have a electrolyte based fluid or drink. They can just have plain water also, but they need to have, but during the workout in the gym, they need to have an electrolyzed based water. That can be lemon water with salt, but it is good to avoid sugar for them, because it's not a very high intensity and long duration of activity or sport or event. So because it's just 1 hour or 45 minutes of gym, just lemon water with salt would do. Sugar again will add the extra carbs which they don't want to be loaded with.
Right.
Okay, great.
So Priyanka Singh is asking, I mean, she mentions it as awesome presentation. And what is your take on recreational sports person?
Yes, so recreational sports person also should follow this similar kind of concept only, where they have to, hydrate themselves at least 1 to 2 hours before. And even if they're playing twice a week or thrice a week, they have to follow the same concept, start hydrating 2 hours before, 1 hour before, and 20 minutes before, with a proper solution of adding your salts also.
Okay, great. And Lakshmi, can you advise any, you were mentioning about the carbohydrates to be added like post workout, I mean, post the activity. So any simple, things that you can suggest for general audience?
Yes, definitely. So, so best carbohydrate source after your event, after your sport, is your potatoes or your fruit. So these are the best ones, where they will even give you vitamins and minerals, and a good amount of fiber also, which is important, for your digestion and all. So it is it is best to have like a fruit, dried fruit or potatoes after your event, after your competition is done, or after your practice is done, along with your water.
Okay.
What about those people who drink whey protein post workout?
Okay, so whey protein is something very subjective, because I will say not everybody needs a whey protein or a protein supplement. If necessary, then we can give. And especially somebody who is, who's eating non-veg, obviously can just take their non-vegetarian foods. Somebody who's a vegetarian, we can think of giving them a protein supplement, but we're not giving it for a very long period of time. We're giving it for a very short period of time, and always keep a note that you're keeping a track for how much are you taking and for what duration are you taking, how many days are you taking, and you're not overdoing it also, taking like many months or years continuously. So you can not necessarily that you will definitely need a protein supplement or a whey protein to build your muscles or to lose fat or lose weight. So it depends on person to person how much they need and what kind of protein also they need.
Yeah, because many people, they want to body build, cannot toned muscle and a well-shaped body and all. So all these youngsters, they start taking, once they join the gym, then they start taking whey protein and
Yeah.
also some fat cutters and all those things. So generally they are, during workout or post workout, they will start taking that whey protein drink. So that's why I asked. And I have one client who does multiple things continuously, like gym, after gym, say maybe some yoga, and after yoga then there's a rock climbing. After that only the person will have some food. So
Okay.
what do we suggest for such kind of multi-level multi-level sporting or multi-level gymming or fitness?
Yes. So for somebody who is gym and then yoga and then rock climbing, so there should be, so obviously before yoga we should not eat anything, so that rule has to be followed. So before that person does gym, she's taking or he's taking proper nutrition, like having a good carbohydrate and a protein source, because she has to sustain till the yoga is done also. And the taking at least 30 to 20 minutes before the gym is perfect. And during the gym, they're drinking water or any electrolyte solution, along with a small source of carbohydrate source, like a dry fruit or something, within 15 minutes after they start their gym, so that they have 45 minutes of gap or something, before they start yoga. And during yoga, obviously you don't give anything, and after they finish yoga, you give them again a carbohydrate and a protein source, so that they don't miss on the muscle building concept over there without the protein. So they having a combination of carbohydrate and protein before their rock climbing, and they're having something to drink also. So this way they will definitely it will help them in performing all these events at the same time.
Right. Great. So you have to fuel yourself continuously to do the workout. Recently I've seen one product, hydration powder. It is carbohydrate, B, and some few B vitamins to be mixed. And
Okay.
have you come across? I saw it in a very famous sports shop.
Not sure, ma'am.
So I thought, okay, just like a whey protein, even carbohydrate powder is being sold. I mean, good old glucose is there, but still there is this carbohydrate hydration powder. It's called as hydration powder, which has carbohydrate and B vitamins.
Okay. So, but we need to understand, ma'am, how much of carbohydrates is there, so that we are not giving too much of carbohydrate also, where the body is not able to sustain it. So, because these carbohydrate solutions generally are very concentrated, high concentrated. So it's better to always stick to the natural foods rather than jumping onto these kind of powders or anything immediately. And so that it will help them, maintaining the fluid balance also in their body and the electrolyte balance.
And also coming to this whey protein, Lakshmi, there are few, who people, they use it with the water, and few people use it with the milk. So what is the best one to use, and how, what are the quantities? I mean, what are all the things we need to consider?
Right. So for somebody who is looking into weight gain, they can have it with milk, and somebody who's looking for weight loss can have it with water. So this is the best way to know who can have it with water, who can have it with milk. So because when we're looking at weight gain, we want to have the extra carbohydrates and protein also, which we will get from the milk, and also it will provide some amount of fat. But when we're looking into weight loss, we want to definitely cut down on the carbohydrates and fats a little. So it's always better to drink it with water.
Okay. Yeah, almost done with all the questions on Facebook. Priyanka conveys her thanks to you.
Thank you.
So yeah, the questions are done, doctor. So any questions from any other audience, you can just post it. We'll wait for another 5 to 10 minutes.
All these powders that are displayed in the sports shop are so attractive for people. They promise.
Yes.
They promise. So they want to buy that promise.
It's not only kids, ma'am, even the adults, you know, who
I'm
get
talking about
attracted.
adults only.
That's what it, not even kids, even adults who get attracted with all these, you know,
Adults
the
only.
labels.
Something that
Like
come across in sports field is some people, some kids are suggested, not by the nutritionists, but others, like, in the fraternity of where they play, they are, they're suggested to take any kind of supplements to boost up their performance and all that, but
correct.
sports gels or something like that. But what the parents don't realize is their performance might be increasing because of the caffeine content in it and all, but what they don't realize is it is not necessary for that age group, like
Yes.
12 years, 13 years, because it's extremely unsafe for them for that high concentrated of caffeine. So something that I would always say, especially the parents that don't always consult the nutritionist or a dietitian and know whether your child needs those supplements or no. And because most of the children below 18 years do not need these kind of supplements at all, which boost up performance, they can just do with natural foods, which is the best way to boost their performance.
Talking about caffeine, people also drink
Yes.
black coffee as soon as they finish their workout.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially these weightlifters and all.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. They do. They're addicted actually a lot.
Okay. We have another question from Samantha again. Does the same rules apply for swimmers too? Like the water intake thing? Because being in water, will it cause them cold, and wouldn't it cause the urine urgency or something like that?
Okay, so something that I want to say is swimmers also get dehydrated equally like how other sports players on land get dehydrated. Do not be with the concept that because they are underwater or inside, they do not get dehydrated. They definitely get dehydrated equally like the others. And, so they have to drink water necessarily, few sips of water. So like I said, if you drink at one go too much water, that is when you'll have that frequent urination issues also. But when you just sip water, like, two sips or one sip of water every 10 to 15 minutes during the sports practice, like swim practice or the swim event, then it is safe for them. So somebody who is in extreme dehydration conditions, a child, suddenly starts to hydrate himself normally, initially will have such difficulties, but his body or her body will get trained slowly to have normal water consumption and normal hydration levels also. So make sure that the child is, from the beginning, you're giving the child sips of water every few minutes rather than giving at one go a huge amount of water.
Right.
Great. Nice. Good to go.
Yes, yes, doctor. Yes, doctor.
Thank you, Lakshmi, for sparing your time and giving such a good information.
Thank you.
Especially we keep always talking about proteins, fats, carbohydrates, energy and things like that. But we talk very less about salts.
Yes,
except for renal conditions, we never think about salts at all.
Very true.
So sports is one of the most important aspect, and people are getting into lots of sports Parents are also encouraging their children to go into sports. So this is one aspect of people need to know just the basics of it so that they be safe
Yes.
with
Yes.
their workouts. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. I'm really grateful and thankful. Thank you, Janki ma'am. Thank you, Mayuri ma'am.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you for being here on Tea Talks and giving us such a clear and useful information to all our audience. Thank you so much. And thank you all audience for being here for today. See you all next Tuesday, same time, same place. Bye-bye.
Bye.